I can monitor this, the cartridge 223.223. Before the Vietnam War, the farmers, well, this basically was sold, a rifle was sold to farmers and ranchers that the rifle was made by Remington with a cartridge, a bolt action, and you could sit there and plunk away at vermin, in this case prairie dogs, and the prairie dogs wouldn't flinch. You shoot one prairie dog with the old-fashioned hunting rifle, and it's an overkill, and the whole prairie dog colony would dive in their thing, and maybe 30 minutes later you have to wait for the next one to pop their head up. With the 223 rifle, very little kick. The horse that's standing behind you is not going to flinch, and you could eliminate prairie dogs. Of course, then you had your dogs here next to you, and they would go there and pick up the dead prairie dogs, because you really don't want vermin laying around. One of the ranchers who had this problem with the prairie dogs, and the reason you kill the prairie dogs is that all the prairie dogs happen to have the gene called bubonic plague in them. Okay? Understand? Just like common rodents have a gene. If the colony cannot get enough food, they overeat their supply of food, that little gene, Mother Nature basically activates that little gene for the weakest thing. And what happens is the fleas that's on all the prairie dogs since they live on blood, will get that. And then they will start jumping to other prairie dogs. As this old prairie dog dies, they're going to jump to another healthier one, and basically at a certain point, Mother Nature's will, really most healthiest prairie dogs will not contract the bubonic plague. Problem is that you have cattle around there. Yep, the prairie dogs love to have a nice prairie, and grasses and everything else. They infect the cattle. And then now you have a cattle with bubonic plague. Not very good. And so, if you use a big hunting rifle, it makes a lot of noise. A 223 makes very little noise. And if you put a suppressor on it, it makes almost no noise. Ooh, yeah, that thing. And this before everybody started killing each other, okay? That thing. Well, Remington came out with another one. A Remington pistol, bolt action, single shot, using the 223, supplied it with a suppressor for the ranchers, and now that rancher can take the whole works, put it in a saddlebag, and ride around, and if he sees vermin, he will simply shoot it. And birds will come in, vultures will come in, everything else. Well, one of these days, as one rancher's head, I'm sitting there taking out the prairie dogs out of that thing. I get a 12, and I look over, and there's a group of coyotes sitting there watching me. Okay, I finish, and they go in there. I pack my stuff away, get on my horse. Coyotes go in there for a free meal. Okay, that happens. Well, it seems the coyotes are hungry. They have a family to feed. And if you provide them with food, they don't go attacking your cattle's calves. So every time he would get on his horse, that family of coyotes that sit around the ranch will look. They will follow him to the prairie dog village, sit there and wait, and when the rancher is done killing their prairie dogs, they go in there and clean up the mess. And it became pretty well mutual understanding. I kill the food for you, you leave my cattle alone. Which they, sure. They can get free meals. Why attack a calf? And because if you attack a calf, the rancher can shoot you. Not that they're that friendly, because they're very leery of humans, but that thing. Now what happens? The Vietnam War comes along, and they want to sell it, that thing, so they make a selector firearm. What's that? The M14, M15, M14, either one. Yeah. And they demonstrated that not only is this a very efficient against prairie dogs and possibly humans, because they showed the test, it does, at a certain point, it starts spinning out of the barrel, okay, and really causes damage. It might say a regular round from an AK-47 will go through you. The 223 will basically blow you apart. If it hits your head, it blows your brains out. Yeah, it hits your body, it basically causes major structural damage. Okay, fast forward to Columbine. Yeah. And then you got that thing. Okay, that's a freak murder. What about the that start hitting again? Well, what's something they should have done? And they should have really done is really card the person. Just don't sell a something like this to the general public. After a few usage of this, because they could make this stuff into an extremely deadly weapon, they should ban it. Well, go ahead and try to ban it and see what happens. Oh, they're going to turn in your weapons. No, they're not. But yeah, it does the job. It did a job in Vietnam, and yet not well enough, because 60,000 Americans came back dead. Well, okay. A lot of Americans never left the country because they became pink clouds. But that's a different story there. Yes, and when psychopaths start, as we recently know, the school shooting or a church shooting or a store shooting, you want to restrict who gets that gun. You just don't sell it to anybody. Of course, after each things like that, people went out and got more guns. Yeah. In the state that I live in, the kid who did the killing of the school would never have gotten the gun. 3-day waiting period, background checks. You need to be registered. You need to be registered with the State Police of Illinois to get a firearm, an air gun, a crossbow, a longbow, a slingshot almost. They won't sell it to you. Sporting things like Dick's will not sell it to you without a FOID card. You want to buy an arrow? Give me your FOID card. I don't have a FOID card. Then we're not selling it to you. It's our option not to sell to you. And if they did it in Texas, the Texas police can sit there, and everybody who has a firearm, if you want to buy a gun, you have to have a state police FOID card, identification card. That kid would never pick one up. And if it was a waiting period for 3 days, Ted Cruz up there says, we're not going to do it, restrict our citizens because it's a once in a while. Hey, Ted, you made a hell of a lot of women mad at you, Ted, for abortions. Think about it. Some woman who really dislikes you and decides to do something about it picks up an AK-47 AK-47 or that thing, and puts 20 holes into you. No, wait, 36? Yeah, bang, 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 bang. Yeah, 36. Oh no, 30 round. I don't know my guns. What am I going to do? I only have crossbows. What am I going to do? But yeah, the round was not made to kill people. It was made originally to kill vermin on ranches and that things. And if you look at the pig explosion population of, you have wild pigs running around, boars now, I guess. They're made for that. They're made to sit there with a rifle, 223 rifle. Now farmers will like to have a 223 bolt action single shot rifle that they can put a suppressor on, which is now illegal. To see how something can get misused, and sit out there and quietly take out the pigs. Bang, it does the damage, pig drops dead, and the pigs don't scatter. You have wild boar to eat. And what do you do with a dead wild boar? You load them on your pickup truck, you go to a state prison, and you give them to the state prison so they can have a lot of free ham. The same thing you ever hear about roadkill. Yep, it goes to your state prisons, your county prisons. They're butchered and they're fed. They go to the usually places that need food. Bring them over to a butcher, and the butcher butchers the deer and give it to a homeless shelter. Yeah, well, again, the 223 originally was made for a rancher or a farmer to eliminate vermin from their property that did not scare the other livestock. You don't want sheep getting scared. You don't want your cattle running. The last thing you want is a herd moving fast. Yeah. And you don't scare your horses. You don't scare your dogs. You do the job of getting rid of your problem. Prairie dogs, and in some cases, the prairie dogs get killed, and the vultures come in and eat that, or the coyotes come in and eat that. And it's your problem is over. You don't want to leave dead bodies around. Really, you don't want to leave dead bodies around. Oh well, that's that thing. And will they solve the problem for psychopaths getting guns like this and killing people? No, they can go back with their cars, and if they want to commit suicide, get in your car and go hit a tree somewhere. Ever get to things that the middle of nowhere, there's a single tree and seems to draw in cars because they the tree, how many times did people hit that tree? Oh, but a dozen times. Why? Well, they hit the tree and they go through the windshield. Why weren't they wearing a seatbelt? That was not the object. The object is to hit the tree and go through the windshield. Or get run over by a train. Or cause a major traffic accident. Get run over by an 18-wheeler. That's always a good one. You've put on your brakes in front of an 18-wheeler that's carrying steel. And the driver can't stop. If he stops on his brakes, that steel's going to go through his cab. So he just runs you over. And then your relatives can sue the trucking company for $1 million. Oh, let's trial lawyers. Do trial lawyers always follow steel trucks? Have to look into the ambulance chasers. Yeah. Oh well, I'm about to hit my 15 minutes. Goodbye.